A shaman to combat disease and death. Prehistoric medicine. In context. Before. The year 47,000 BC. Evidence from the teeth of Neanderthal skeletons found at El Cedron, a cave in northern Spain, suggests the early use of medicinal plants. After. 7,000 to 5,000 BC. Cave art in Tassili, Niger, Algeria depicts shaman-like figures carrying or covered in psilocybe Maidae mushrooms known for their psychedelic effects. Circa 3300 BC, studies of the body of Otzi the Iceman found in the Otztal Alps on the Austrian-Italian border in 1981 indicate that he took medicinal herbs. Circa 1000, spiritual leaders in southwest Bolivia used psychoactive drugs, including cocaine. Chemical traces of the drugs were found in the Lipes Altiplano in 2010. 2000, Chonazwan, one of the last practicing shamans in Siberia, dies. Early humans faced with injuries and disease began to self-medicate with herbs and clays, a behavior similar to that of chimpanzees or apes. They also turned to the supernatural to explain misfortune, blaming injuries and ill health on the operation of malevolent spirits. Magical healing. Around 15,000 to 20,000 years ago, a new figure emerged in the prehistoric world. Part healer and part magician, a shapeshifter was believed to be able to access and even enter the spirit world to influence the forces there and bring peace and healing to the suffering and sick. The fuck? Prehistoric rock art in Africa and cave paintings in Europe are thought to represent ancient ritual practices, including the healer's transformation into a creature form. The burial of what may be a female spiritual healer at Hilazon Tachtit in Israel from around 11,000 BCE contains the wings of a golden eagle, a leopard pelvis, and a severed human foot. Artifacts believed to suggest the healer's ability to transform and transcend the normal human state. Such spiritual leaders may have developed practical healing skills too, as archaeologists have found ample, not only of the use of medicinal plants, but also surgical procedures such as tree panning and attempts to reset broken bones. Media need. Belief in spiritual healing gave way to other spiritual and medicinal practices but never died out. In the 17th century, European travelers rediscovered the Siberian spiritual healers called shamans, from the word Saman, "none who knows," in their Tungusic language, and the term shamanism was often applied to spiritual practices elsewhere. In Siberia, a dwindling number of shamans still use hallucinogens, drumming, and chants to promote a trance state in which they receive a vision of the spirit world. The most powerful healers are thought to project themselves, often guided by a spirit animal, into the other world to persuade the evil spirit causing the disease to release the sick person and restore their health. Where healing is not possible, a shaman conducts a similar ritual to lead the soul of the dying person safely into the afterlife. Today, varying forms of spiritual healing continue in East Asia, Africa, and among indigenous people in Australia, the Arctic, and the Americas. For thousands of years, these beliefs have answered a primal need to explain why disease occurs and why. Where the spirits prove too strong or intractable, it cannot be cured. If less widespread as populations of indigenous people decline, their beliefs still live on. Historic tree panning. Archaeologists have unearthed thousands of skulls with a small hole drilled or sawn into them. A practice called tree panning, dating from around 8,000 BC, probably performed community healers. Tree panning was possibly a ritual to drive out evil spirits. The bone was removed was sometimes worn as an amulet. As these skulls often showed signs of earlier injuries or disease, it also seems likely that healers used the procedure to repair injuries, relieve head pain, and treat neurological diseases. One of the earliest examples is a 7,000-year-old skull of a man unearthed at Einsheim in France in the 90s had been trepanned twice. Here and elsewhere, new bone growth shows that trepanned patients often survived for some years. Healers and physicians practiced trepanning in the ancient civilizations of Egypt, Greece, Rome, China, and South America. Later in Europe and the US, surgeons used it to treat concussion and brain inflammation and to clean head wounds, as in the Civil War.